I don't really know how to start off this. Obviously, you can see on the screen here, you would have seen on the thumbnail, you've probably seen the news on social media. It's broken over the last sort of 20 minutes or so. Unfortunately, it's been announced by AEW that Brodie Lee, Jon Huber, has passed away at the age of 41 years of age. It was just announced, as I mentioned, over the last 15 or 20 minutes by AEW. They released the following statement on their Twitter account and on their social media platforms. I'll read it out to you now. It was titled Jon Huber, 1979 to 2020. And then the statement came from AEW, quote, "The All Elite Wrestling family is heartbroken. In an industry filled with good people, Jon Huber was exceptionally respected and beloved in every way. A fierce and captivating talent, a thoughtful mentor, and simply a very kind soul that starkly contradicted his persona, Mr. Brodie Lee. Jon's love for his wife Amanda and children Brodie and Nolan was evident to all of us who were fortunate to spend time with him, and we send our love and support to his beautiful family today and always. Jon's popularity among his peers and influence on the wrestling world was worldwide and transcended AEW. So this loss will be felt by many for a long time. We were privileged at AEW to call Jon Huber a brother, a friend, and one of our own." So Brodie Lee passing away at the age of 41 years of age. I mean, it's not very often. You know me. It's not very often that I'm at a loss for words, but I'm stunned. I'm heartbroken, quite frankly. It's nearly 2 a.m. over here at the time of recording in the UK, and I just happened to have my phone in my hand, and it came up and said the hashtag RIP Brodie Lee, and I was really taken aback and confused, going, well, what? And then I saw the statement from AEW there. Obviously, we're not going to get into details or anything like that. They haven't done that, and you have to. Everyone just has to celebrate Brodie Lee's career and what he's done in pro wrestling. 41 years of age is no age. It really is no age, is it? And it's just incredibly heartbreaking and sad. It's the 27th of December today, and I think about. It's the holidays, it's the festive period, the Christmas period, and I think immediately when I hear stuff like this, after you sort of somehow try and get over the shock of it and the just heartbreaking nature of it, immediately my first thoughts were about his family, because if you've ever heard a Brodie Lee interview, he speaks glowingly about his wife and his children. I think back to when he first came to AEW earlier this year, and he did the interview with Chris Jericho on Talk Is Jericho, and he must have spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes just talking about his conversations with his wife and trying to provide for his family, and obviously you see this news, and it's incredibly heartbreaking. It's incredibly heartbreaking, and as I mentioned, it's not the time to speculate on why or how or anything like that. What it really is the time to mourn, to reflect, and to think back on the life that Brodie Lee had, Jon Huber had, his contributions to the world of pro wrestling, the industry that he loved, the legacy that he leaves behind, and it's shocking. It's incredibly shocking, and it's heartbreaking. And look, the sad thing when it comes to pro wrestling, isn't it, is that these stories do happen, and again, we don't know the situation, but these stories do happen, but it never makes it any less shocking. And the sad thing is that it always feels like it's the good guys that go too early, and I feel like that's the case here with Jon Huber and with Brodie Lee, because I think if you hear any pro wrestler, certainly myself, if you've ever heard or spoken to any pro wrestler, and the conversation about Brodie Lee has come up, Luke Harper, whatever you want to call him, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a bad thing about him, and it's completely heartbreaking. It's completely shocking news. He also celebrated his 41st birthday was I think last week. I think December 16th, 17th, or 18th, or something like that. And again, my thoughts go out to his family, his wife, his children, his loved ones, his friends. Man, I mean, if 2020 as a year, this is. I mean, they're always tough to take. But this one is just so out of left field. It feels like so out of left field and so shocking and so heartbreaking. Like I said, such a great pro wrestler, such a great person, more importantly, from what everyone's saying, such a great father and a great husband. And it's horrendously sad, and it's completely tragic. And I still, like I said, I mean, this is legitimately my reaction. I only found out about this 20 minutes ago. This is legitimately my reaction, and I'm shocked. I'm completely shocked, completely heartbroken. I think back to, Brodie Lee. I've been watching for years at this point, going back to the days of Ring of Honor, and then obviously with WWE and the Wyatt family and Luke Harper. And I was just talking, I might have even said it on a video the other day. I was talking about Eric Rowan, and I was talking about going to Impact Wrestling, and part of that was talking about the Wyatt family versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber in 2014, arguably the greatest 6-man tag team match, certainly in WWE history. I mean, you could even argue one of the best 6-man tag matches ever, in the Wyatt family versus the Shield. And Brodie Lee was a massive part of that. Luke Harper was a massive part of that. Luke Harper was a massive part of the Wyatt family and Bray Wyatt and the whole Wyatt family coming into WWE and being such a success, and being such a success in NXT, and truly being a different gimmick and a different character. And yes, you can talk about how should it have gone for him in WWE, and even talking about that at this point of time doesn't feel right to me, because I don't even want to really talk about the negative or anything like that. What I do want to talk about and reflect on is, again, his contributions to the wrestling industry, the positives, whether it was that being part of the Wyatt family or being part of that match at Elimination Chamber in 2014. And I'm really glad that we were able to really see the best Brodie Lee in AEW for this very brief run. I'm glad he got to, in that interview with Chris Jericho he did earlier this year, he spoke about falling out of love with pro wrestling, and coming to AEW he felt like he was falling back in love with it again, and he had the passion again, and he was doing what he loved to do. And obviously, if this is a lesson of anything, it's that you never know what's coming around the corner, and you should never take any day for granted. And I'm just so glad that he was able to, find his passion again for what he loved, and he felt like he lost it for a while. And I'm so glad that he was able to find it and do what he loved to do before ultimately he passed. Which just that sentence alone just seems, completely insane to me. This whole situation just seems completely insane, and I'm stumbling on my words, because I really am. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. Obviously, we hadn't seen him on TV recently. The last match he had was with Cody Rhodes a couple of months ago, right? The dog collar match, where he lost the TNT Championship to Cody Rhodes, and we hadn't seen him since. I think there was rumours he'd been, or I think Tony Khan had said he was out with an injury or something like that. And even so, it's hardly a precursor to this. No one saw this coming. Not that you ever would, but it doesn't. It's just I'm dumbfounded, and I'm trying my best to reflect on the positives in this in his life and in his career. And like I said, I think of the time of year, and I think of his family and of his children, which he spoke about so highly of every time he got the opportunity to. But I'm, as I said, trying to think of positives. I'm so glad that he, got to do what he loved to do in that AEW run, and it's just I'm absolutely, I'm completely shocked. I'm completely shocked. As I mentioned, 41 years of age is no age. It really is no age, and this is going to be a real tough one on the pro wrestling industry, I think, and because he just was so universally liked. He was so universally liked and so universally acclaimed, and I truly felt when it came to his career in AEW, I felt like he was finally hitting his stride. I felt like this was a guy with so much untapped potential from his previous work in WWE, and there was always the, oh man, you should do something with this guy. And then in this AEW run, it just felt like everyone saw what this guy was really capable of. He took a gimmick in the Dark Order that was nothing. It was disappearing. No one knew what it was, and he turned it into something incredible. He turned it into something enjoyable and different. And the Mr. Brodie Lee character, and the wearing the suits and the loud shouting, and again having great matches with Jon Moxley, AEW World Championship, having great matches with Cody Rhodes, TNT Championship. That TNT Championship reign wasn't even meant to happen. That was just a case of Cody Rhodes was going off of TV at the time to do some filming, and they put the TNT Championship on him, and he thrived because that's how talented Jon Huber was. That's how talented he was. That was his passion for pro wrestling, and it doesn't seem real. It doesn't seem real at the moment, and like I said, this is going to be a real tough one to take, and I'm shocked. And like I said, my thoughts, my prayers, and everything goes out to his wife Amanda, his children Brodie and Nolan, and it's crazy to think that this is real at the moment. It doesn't feel real, and it's one of those moments that, like I said, one of my phone was in my hand and I saw it. I'm still in shock. I'm still absolutely floored by this news. So thoughts go out to his family, his children, his wife, his loved ones, his friends. 2020 just goes from worse to worse, and but ultimately, if we can reflect on it, this is a guy that tragically passing away at the age of 41 still managed to leave a huge imprint on the pro wrestling industry. This was a big man with obviously a very big heart and a big passion for the pro wrestling industry, and his legacy will be there forever. He'll go down. Brodie Lee will go down as one of the best big men in professional wrestling. And that's not just because he passed away at an early age. That's because he was really good. He was really, really good. And obviously he had the name Brodie Lee because he reminded a lot of people of Bruiser Brody, one of the best big men in the industry. And I think Brodie Lee, you know what? He lived up to that name very, very well. So unfortunately, it's been confirmed by AEW that Brodie Lee, Jon Huber, has passed away at the age of 41. And as I mentioned, thoughts, prayers, and heartfelt condolences go out to his family, his friends, his loved ones. Rest in peace, Jon Huber.